Anyways. Hi y'all, it's Espensa with Soltera Creative, a channel all about art stuff, and art things, and yeah. I said that wrong this time. Oh well. Art things. So today I'm gonna talk about how to prepare for your first art show. So congratulations, number one. I'm glad that you are taking the step of pursuing your art career or your art passions. And it can be really nerve-wracking. And so I'm here to tell you, don't be scared. You got it. You got it. You'll do fine. You'll make mistakes, and it's okay. You learn. You live and you learn, right? I am here to help. And I say this as somebody who's like really introverted. I know that might be a shock, but I have a very low social battery. And I was actually really shy prior to going into business and really pursuing my passions. And something that I had to learn over the years is that people want to know who you are and want to talk to you. And so I learned some skills to help me and assist me during these social events, because that's what an art show is. People are not just coming to see your beautiful art. Unfortunately, they also want to talk to the artist and see what you're about, and I think that's a beautiful thing. For me, art shows take up a lot of mental and emotional energy because you just never know what may or may not happen. I love going to them, so it's not that I don't like them, but if it were my choice, I would go for maybe an hour and then leave. Despite me doing this forever, and now, like, I know it like the back of my hand, it's still, every art show feels a little bit, especially art shows that I'm not familiar with, still feel like my first art show. There's just a lot of anxiety and worries. And I know what you're asking, like, what if my art doesn't sell? Or what do I do? Like, how do I price my stuff? Should I talk to people? Or what if people approach me? Like, I don't want them to talk to me. So I'm not teaching you how to organize an event. I'm teaching you, oh, goddamn heater. I'm teaching you how you are attending your first art show as an artist. Whether it be you doing a solo show or a group show. So this is very general advice, and if I could go back in time, these are the tips that I would give myself when attending my first art show. I cannot stress enough to preemptively prepare yourself before you even sign up to the art show. You want to make sure that you can attend all the important dates. That means drop-offs, the actual event, pickups, opening nights, just anything that is relevant to this art show. If you cannot make any of them, I suggest not doing those events. Drop-offs and pickups can be a little bit flexible, but you should have a conversation with the organizer before you even think about like being like, oh, I'll just figure it out later. It's just not good practice, and it's so disrespectful to like the organizer. I mean, yeah, sure, it's art that's not perishable, but like, just keep that in mind and make sure that you are being cognizant of like the organizer's time and your time, more importantly. So just preemptively prepare and make sure that you even qualify for the art show. And going along with that, make sure that it is geared towards your audience. I used to like obsessively sign up for every art show, and it wasn't good for me. But I learned, obviously, you have to do a little snooping around that to make sure that those values align with you and that your work fits the theme or the general vibe of the location. I didn't realize that. I just felt like every opportunity was a good opportunity, which isn't the case. And so sometimes I would be signing up to art shows and committing that I would create something new for every art show that I encounter. And although that would be cool and great, Doesn't always work. And then like the other thing is like you'd end up rushing and to just meet the deadlines or do the bare minimum, and you could be losing sleep and also possibly putting your integrity as an artist on the line, and you don't want that. Like, there will always be art shows in the future. So that being said, stay healthy. I know this might seem like this is completely unrelated, but it absolutely matters. And I wish I could tell my early 20-year-old self that it's okay to eat, it's okay to sleep. It's not the end of the world if you can't commit to this art show. But I think this is probably the most important thing that you can do for yourself. Just as a human, but also in preparation for your very first art show. Just imagine going there all decrepit because you didn't eat, you didn't drink, you didn't like sleep, and you just didn't take care of yourself. And I don't mean this like, oh, just take care of yourself the day before or the day of. No, this is an ongoing thing because your body relies on you for a steady lifestyle. You wouldn't do this to your pets. Think about that. So when I just know when I don't eat and I don't sleep, I get moody and lightheaded and my joints start to hurt and I just get irritated with everybody who looks my direction. You can't be that way at art shows. Your body needs nourishment. Honestly, I feel like it will make your art show better because you're having like these awesome conversations and you feel just more up to it and more energized to do more things. It's just setting you up for success. I unfortunately done a lot of art shows and pop-ups where I realize that when I don't eat, I make less sales, or like when I just don't take care of myself. It's just because, and it goes back to, I'm not up for it. My next tip, dress to impress yourself. I just know that whatever makes you feel good is gonna radiate, and I think this is true for all, like, just confidence in general. I also think that you should probably snoop around a little bit to see what kind of art show it is. I had the mistake of going to this it was, I think, like an expo, and I went as like my rockera self, and like I was like, yeah, I'm gonna be cool and artist and artsy, and I realized that it was partially in a fashion show. I felt so underdressed and I didn't feel good. I just felt out of place. If I known, I probably would have like dolled up a little bit, maybe all black with like some fancy jewelry and just a red lipstick. No, I didn't go there that way, and it just didn't feel right for me. Maybe that makes you feel confident, but not for me personally. In that situation, I didn't feel great. I talked to so many like important figures there, and on top of that, it was like one of those days where I put on the wrong pants. I was not only wearing like my Bruja shirt, or like at the time, I was wearing a red beanie, and then I had these like leggings that had stars on them. I just was so mismatched. It's like a 4-year-old dressed me. Anyways, but if that empowers you, go for it, girl. Or folk. I'm gonna state the obvious. Uno nunca sabe. Like, just uno nunca sabe. Like, you just gotta do it, right? It's a universal rule. Make sure that you're bathed, groomed, styled, and just hygiene. Wear clean clothes because we can smell it. Like, I'm telling you right now. This isn't just for other people, but like, I feel like in general, you'll feel better if you wash yourself. And I mean this. It's a part of taking care of yourself. My next tip is mentally prepare yourself to put your best foot forward. I am not an extrovert. I'm not, and it takes me time to make sure that I can do that. Now, I'm not saying like be professional or any of that stuff. I mean like being your best version of yourself. For me, it means like mentally preparing means to be social. Like, I'm preparing to be social. I'm preparing to have these conversations. I'm looking at my list. Like, I am resting and I'm making sure that I don't hang out with friends the day prior. I give myself pep talks. I write out my goals. I journal. Just anything that I need to do to make this event successful. I'm not like on the day-to-day. I'm not a talkative person, and I don't I don't really like engaging in a lot of conversations. I'm more of like an observer. But I know as an artist, like at an art show, I have to be like, this is how I'm gonna make sales. This is how I'm gonna network. This is how I'm gonna get people on my email list. I'm just making sure that my mental or my social battery is up, and then super comfortable with like things that are gonna happen. A good tip that one of my friends gave me like a long time ago when I was in high school is that you don't have to be spontaneous. You can just pre-plan conversation starters. Don't plan out your whole conversations because you never know what's gonna happen, right? But like a good conversation starter. And that's something that has calmed my anxiety over time, because it's like, oh, I can just start a conversation by saying like, oh, where'd you get that bag? That's really cute. And I don't mean lie. Like, don't lie, but like, just know that, you know, compliment, for example, a conversation starter. Compliment something that you like on somebody and ask them where they got it and get in a conversation that way. And this is for anybody who's like not a social battery or a social butterfly, but you know, there's other ways that you can mentally prepare. That said, make sure not to like be texting on your phone. You're there to talk. Like an art show, you're there to network. You're there to have a fun time in the presence of other people. Avoid going on your phone. I know it's like super tempting, especially when you're nervous and up and like scared. Like, it's okay to make eye contact. Like, you're there. Because if I see somebody on their phone, they're unapproachable. It doesn't matter who they are or what. I'm not going to interrupt. I feel like that's the thing that younger generations aren't really used to, is like, if I feel awkward, I'm going to be on my phone. Don't look at me. Don't do it. Be awkward. Be okay with it. The more you do it, the more comfortable it gets. Like now, like whenever I'm in an art show and I'm not on my phone, I'm just like, let me just look. Let me look at people. It's not like I don't intensely stare at people, but you know, like you can glance around, be like, and if you make eye contact with someone, say hello, and maybe they'll walk over. You never know. Or you walk over. It's okay. That's how you make friends and clients and whatever it is. My next tip and second most important tip is learn to talk about your artwork. I cannot stress how annoyed I get when somebody's like, no, tell me what you think. What do you feel? Like, you can add whatever meaning you want to, or any variation. Oh, I don't have a meaning to it. Okay. So you're like, I get it. Like, you make art, like, and I've said this in my like time-lapse videos and my time-lapse painting videos. A lot of my work is just about me. And I don't have a real meaning to it, but there's a story to it, even if it has no meaning. Like, you can look at this time-lapse video and see like what I mean. Like, it literally had no meaning, but I did it and I made a story out of it, an 8-minute conversation with it. I can have a conversation with someone in person about that. And I actually sold that piece because I told them that story. I hate bland responses because it just tells me, think about it, you're just telling me that you don't want to talk to me. And even though that art is subjective, there is magic in storytelling. It brings you in, it draws you in, and that's what you want. Like, that is what you want for a client to know. If it is about you, tell them about you. Tell them like the story of you, and it doesn't have to be a long-winded story. It could be a quick one. Like, that is enough for somebody else to be like, oh, can you tell me more about that? Or like, if they're interested, obviously, or they could be like, oh, that's so neat. Like, I never knew. Like, so what's the story about this piece? Like, what were you thinking of? And that's how you get the conversation going. Art can be subjective, but I don't want to talk to a bland, boring person. I much less want to buy bland, boring art. I want to be able to tell the people who are looking at the art that I buy, like, oh yeah, that piece is blank, 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 blank. Let me show you their Instagram. And that's how you network. Because if your conversation is not memorable, more than likely I'm not going to recommend it. Like, I'm just not. I'm going to be like, oh, I thought it was cool, and I bought it from some artist. I will walk away. And that's me as an artist, even though I understand that maybe it is that. Like, I don't have the patience for it. It sounds a little pretentious to me, but that being said, thing that I want to recommend is bringing a friend or 3. It is a standard and a sign of respect to the venue and the coordinator or anybody who is hosting the event, all the other artists, yourself. It's really hard to organize art shows, and it's really hard to bring people out as just a single entity and artist. Like, usually it's by word of mouth that you bring people out, but it is a sign of respect that you are doing your part in advertising by bringing people along. It's just so much more fun when you bring your friends too. Like, it allows you to, be yourself, and it can be comforting, right? If you have like two of your best friends with you for the art show, and just to support you and, let them know about your struggles. Like, hey, I'm having a hard time. I want to talk to people and stuff. They will help you, especially your extroverted friends. The best shows that I've ever been to have done this. Like, okay, that they're a friend group, and you're all hanging out, and you eventually come together because of one thing or another. You end up like going to the food table, and you end up striking up a conversation. It is worth bringing a few friends, and if every artist did this, like, every art show would be a success. But anyways, just pretend you're one of the hosts. Like, if it is not a solo art show, pretend you're the host. Pretend you're the host. Like, you are hosting an art show to show your work. They're supposed to be fun. They're social gatherings. They're supposed to be parties. Despite the vibe, they are parties. They are communities that you are partaking in. My other piece of advice is make sure you attend the opening night. I feel like I shouldn't say this, but I need to clarify, because I've organized art shows where my artists don't show up, and it's really frustrating because it's like, what was the purpose of you entering the show if you're not going to be here? Like, I can explain so much about your artwork, but I don't know you. I don't. And on top of that, like, if you didn't give me a description, like, how am I supposed to tell somebody, like, oh, this is what it is? It is imperative that you attend this event. Remember what I said about preemptively planning? You want to be on good terms with everybody. Good terms with the organizer, the artist, like, this is your art show. Like, why wouldn't you be there? And you should be there the entire time. On top of that, like, I get that life happens and stuff happens, but this is the only way that you meet future potential collectors and stuff like that. How you meet like new clients or future clients. You're both creating a community, and if you're not helping the host, then you shouldn't sign up. At least not that time around. Usually hosts like redo them or whatever. I get that you might not see it that way because you paid X amount to enter or whatever, but I mean, I don't know about you, but I want to sell. I want to sell at my art show, and if that means me being there, guess what? I've been to art shows where like the artists don't show up, and me as like a buyer, I'm just like, I guess I'm leaving. My other last tip, know your prices and be prepared to defend them. They're your prices. The right person will eventually show up. And I see this with a lot of newbie artists and just art sellers, is that when they're first starting out, they're so worried about it not selling or whatever. And it could be like your worst nightmare because there's this internal conflict of like, oh, this is what my art is worth, and then it not being sold. I've had work that has sat with me for over a decade and it barely sold. It's okay. It's okay. But I got the price that I wanted. I actually got more than what I ever expected. If you have a hard time knowing what to charge, I'll put the video here when I complete it on how to charge. You need to be positive and you need to be confident that your art will sell when it's time to sell. It's divine timing, babe. It's fine. It's fine. I get that you want money now, but don't worry about it. Your price is your price, and you don't want to be known as the artist that sells anything at whatever price they want. It's a bad energy. It's low vibes, you know? It's your first art show. I get that it's nerve-wracking, and I get that you want to sell and you want to do well. But that is not your only measure of success. Your measure of success can be like the amount of people that you connected with and got on your email list. It could be the amount of people that you remain in contact. It could be like, you won't know until the future happens, right? Regardless of what you do, you'll be fine and you'll do great. For anybody who is a professional artist, what is some advice that you'd give an artist that is just starting out? Or if you are the beginner artist and this is before your first art show, come back and let us know how it went, and if this video helped at all. But yeah, make sure to share, subscribe, and I don't know. Bye!